You see that? That's the only English sparkling wine listed on the London Stock Exchange. Should we see if it's any good? Hello, and welcome to the English Wine Project. Today, we're talking about the most recognisable name in English sparkling wine. It's Chapel Down. So Chapel Down is the biggest producer by a long way in the UK. They produce 1/3 of all English wine, and they're the only wine company in the UK that's listed on the London Stock Exchange. So the question is simple, is it any good? Well, let's tell the story of Chapel Down first. They're based in Tenterden, in Kent, in what's known as the Garden of England. The story really begins in 1977 when the vines were first planted there, part of the first wave of English wine trying to prove that world-class wines could be made in this country. Over the following decade, the estate expanded significantly, and Chapel Down now has vineyards across Kent, Sussex and Essex. Today, Chapel Down farms close to 1,000 acres of vineyards and produces millions of bottles a year. So let's take a closer look at Chapel Down and where they are. So as you can see on the map, Chapel Down are in Tenterden in Kent. Their most prestigious vineyard, Kit's Coty, named after a Neolithic monument there. For this brut, Chapel Down sources grapes from Sussex, East Sussex, Kent and Essex, allowing them to create a very consistent flavour profile for this wine. So Chapel Down Brut has the traditional champagne blend of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, but really interestingly, it also has a hint of Pinot Blanc, which gives a much gentler, more nuanced flavour. The grapes used in this wine are grown on a mixture of loam, chalk and clay, which gives that bright acidity to the traditional English wine, but also gives a roundness of flavour using all those different terroirs. Now I have to admit, when I did the comparison review with the other classic cuvées from England, I was pretty harsh on this. I thought it was quite middle of the road and quite neutral, but in its own video, let's see what it really shows and why it's so widely sold. So let's get this in the glass and see what it's like. So it has got that beautiful mousse. It's got a real crystal clarity to it. You can see really, really fine bubbles in the glass. The aromas are coming out of the glass to me. It's by no means weak or watery by any stretch of the imagination. Let's have a bit of a smell of it. So this has been open for a day or so now, and the nose has really opened up. When I first smelt it, it was very, very tight, very closed in, but it's being much more generous now. So I'm definitely getting a bit of brioche and a bit of green apple for sure. A background hint of like an apple juice, so a mix of a green and a red apple juice. And a very, very fine hint of lemon with a little bit of chalkiness. So let's give this a bit of a taste and see what we get. Now, one thing I noticed when I did the comparison tasting is this very, very fine mouthfeel. And it really does. It's beautifully creamy, it's beautifully smooth. That apple note's coming through much stronger now, and the acidity is really making me salivate. I can feel it running down the side of my tongue. It's really making me want another sip. So let's have another sip. Oh, that's quite delightful actually. There's another note coming through, which is, there's a real kind of subtle hint in the background of something a little bit more tropical, but not quite there, almost like an unripe banana or an unripe guava or an unripe pineapple. So not that real strong tropical fruit, but just a hint of something a bit exciting. And having that in the background on top of that apple, that's absolutely beautiful. I'm really, really enjoying that flavour. So when we're trying wines like Chapel Down, we want to give them the best opportunity. When I'm doing that rapid comparison of the 8 wines, they don't get that chance necessarily. You open them, you put them in a glass, you go straight off. Given the time to have a bit of oxygen in, to have a bit of time for the flavours to open, I'm really getting more from this. And similarly, when you're drinking it, you need to give it a bit of time, swirling it around and letting those flavours emerge from the glass and emerge into your mouth as well. Let's have another sip. The taste there is a real appley note, like the flesh of an apple. Which is a nice subtle note to get. It's not necessarily the skin that you're smelling, more so that flesh and the juice inside. Really nice, and it has that element of dryness to it as well, which is beautiful. So do I want another glass of this? Well, it's a Sunday afternoon. It's a very easy to drink wine, but it's pretty cold in the UK at the moment. And for me, this is a warm day English sparkling wine. On a fresh, warm summer's evening, you'd run through glass after glass of this. But on a cold day like this, I just want something with a little bit more depth, a bit more richness, a bit more oomph. It's a beautiful wine, it's very delicate, it's very pristine. You can understand why it's compared with so many champagnes and does so superbly in blind competitions. But it is just a little bit neutral for me. So now I'm going to score it. I think this is going to score quite well. I think it probably got judged more harshly in the comparison. It's had more time to develop here and it's been able to show more of its character. But that's fine. If you're sitting with a glass of wine and you're giving it the time, absolutely, it's going to show a bit more of itself. But if you're making a snap judgment and you have to compare side to side, sometimes you have to be a little bit more harsh. So we're going to get our scorecard, and we'll get our pen, and then we'll get it over on our leaderboard, which I'll bring over. And what we're going to do, each wine, we're going to score it, put it on the leaderboard, and at the end of the year, I'll drink the top 10 wines and try and come up with a year's best wine. So, it's a beautiful glass of wine, really fine bubbles, and you can see that the mousse when it's poured, really, really fine bubbles, really beautifully organized, very well made wine. It's got a gentle color to it, a little bit of yellow, but it's still quite clear looking. It's almost a lemony water rather than a definitive kind of lemon yellow color. So I'll give it a 3 for the appearance. The nose, very appley, there's elements going on there, but it hasn't got the richness, the brioche, the kind of force of nature that some of these other wines have. So I'll give it a 3 for that as well. I think on the taste, it's opened up much, much more. The palate has opened up much, much more this time. And I think I judged it quite harshly last time. I'm going to give it a 3 again. Again, a bit neutral, lacking some depth, lacking some oomph, but certainly I enjoyed it more than last time I had it. And then, do I want another glass of it? Well, on a cold winter's day, no, not really. But on a hot summer's day, I could run through a bottle of this in seconds. It's a very, very drinkable wine. So I'm going to give it a 3 for that as well, which gives Chapel Down a score of 12. So if we get that written down, and then we'll bring our scoreboard across. So we have Chapel Down with a score of 12. Now, I think that did better than it did in the blind comparison, but I still think that it's going to suffer a little bit when compared to the other classic cuvées. So I don't want to put it right at the top of the board. We'll put it middle of the pack for now. And obviously, if we have to put something below it, we can move it up. So let's just put it in there. So we've got our first on the board. Chapel Down is on the board. So with Chapel Down on the scoreboard, I think it's time for a bit of alliteration. So the crisp citrus, crunchy apple and cultured creaminess combined with chalky complexity to deliver a clean, confident and captivating English sparkling wine. In short, it's Chapel Down. What are you still doing? If you like English wine and you want to know more about English wine and you want more tasting notes from English wine, like and subscribe. It'll all be here.